Hello everyone. In this second session from Taxashila, we will try to figure out if we can use machines for structured authoring. To know what structured authoring is, please refer to the first session from Taxashila. In our last session, we learned that structured authoring is all about defining rules for organizing your content and enforcing those rules. It helps increase the consistency of the documents that you or your team produces. In theory, you can set up a structured authoring process without using any tool. We did exactly that by creating a rulebook and asking the writers to follow the rulebook. We enforce the rules by having editors validate the content that the writers produced. However, our take on structured authoring is extremely error-prone. The writers can make a mistake. While reviewing the documents, even the editor can make a mistake. So, we must figure out a way to reduce the chances of errors during the publishing process. We all know that prevention is better than cure. So rather than correcting the defects in the documents, we must design a process that will stop errors from happening. The question is, how? Let me give you an example. I have two flashlights. The first requires two AA batteries. The second has a rechargeable battery that can be detached from the flashlight and plugged into a power source. With my first flashlight, I have often made mistakes while inserting the batteries. I would jumble up the positive and the negative sides of the batteries, and the flashlight would not work. However, with the second flashlight, I never had that problem. The flashlight would never let me insert the rechargeable battery in an incorrect fashion. You see, both the flashlight body and the battery were contoured in such a fashion that unless you position the battery correctly, you would never be able to push it in. The design of the second flashlight prevented errors. Our objective should be to design our process of structured authoring in such a way that it prevents errors. So, let us first analyze the common errors that can happen when your team is authoring the recipes. First, they can make errors in writing. For example, a wrong spelling here, a missing comma there, incorrect sentence structure, use of passive voice, dangling modifiers, and so on. Second, there can be missing or wrong information. This can be because of carelessness or lack of knowledge. For example, a writer might have recommended adding 5 kilograms of salt in a dish, or the writer forgot to mention that the potato balls must be dipped in corn flour before they are fried. Third, there can be formatting errors in the documents submitted by your writers. Fourth, there can be missing blocks of information in the recipes. For example, Sarah forgot to mention the quantity of butter that will be required for the dish, or Joe forgot to include an image of the recipe. Now that we have identified the common errors that we may encounter in our documents, let us figure out how we can prevent these errors and if we can automate the process of preventing the errors by using machines. The first issue, errors in writing. We all know that every year authoring tools are being refined to detect errors in spelling, sentence structure, punctuation, and so on. Microsoft Word has it. Adobe Acrobat has it, RoboHelp has it. Some tools highlight the errors on the fly, some when you manually run the language check. There is a tool called Acrolinx IQ where you can define your language rules. The tool will, on the fly, check your documents for spelling, grammar, style, and terminologies. The question is, can you entirely depend on a tool to ensure that your documents are devoid of any language errors? Well, with better tools you can prevent such errors from happening, but personally I would still like a human being do a final check on my documents. The second issue, missing or wrong information. I am quite sure human beings are absolutely necessary to detect such mistakes. A machine will not be able to detect an error when you mention that one must use 5 kilograms of salt in a recipe, or if you forgot to mention that the potatoes must be boiled before you mash them. You can reduce such missing or wrong information by asking your authors to be vigilant while writing. But you can never eliminate such errors or prevent them from happening. Let us look at the third issue now. Formatting errors. Well, this is one thing machines can handle well. Look at web pages. Your content is written in HTML. You create a cascading style sheet and attach it to your HTML page, and wow, your web pages look fantastic. Your browser, which is a machine, goes through your HTML content and applies the formatting that you had defined in your cascading style sheet. What your browser displays is as good as the style sheet you had defined. There is no reason why the same principle cannot be applied to other documents. As long as a machine can identify the content in your document, it will be able to format it exactly the way you want it. To conclude, if machines take over the task of formatting your documents, you will not have formatting errors. The fourth issue, missing blocks of information. You can definitely detect missing block of information in your content. Have you ever faced a situation where you are trying to set a password, say for your email account, and the system rejects your password because it does not meet the eligibility conditions? The system had defined that your password must be alphanumeric. It must start with an alphabet. It must not contain any special character apart from underscore or hyphen. It should have at least 6 characters, and the same character must not be repeated 3 or more times in a row. In this case, a simple program has been written to validate your password against the defined rules. Following the same principle, you can write a program that can validate your content against the defined structure. Similar to the password, the program will not let you save your document unless your content matches the required structure. Therefore, using a machine, you can completely eliminate the issue of missing block of information. So, of the 4 types of errors that we identified, at least 3 can be prevented using proper tools. Therefore, to make our structured authoring process robust and less error prone, we have to figure out a way to use machines in our process. In our next session, we are going to discuss exactly that. Till then, goodbye.